Rode has officially entered the video streaming market with the new RØDECaster video. It really feels like Rode spent hours and hours watching people use existing video switchers and saw what they were struggling with, and then went and designed a switcher that works nothing like the rest of them. Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki. I've made videos about a ton of video switchers on this channel over the years, always trying to find the best switcher to recommend you for your work. Today we are looking at the new RØDECaster video. I first want to thank Rode for sending this over to share with you on my channel. So I'm assuming if you're watching this that you are at least somewhat familiar with the idea of video switchers. Well, guess what? It's time to throw out everything you know because this is really nothing like any other switcher. Now I do actually already have videos on my channel that go into more details of the RØDECaster video, and I have step-by-step tutorials for getting started with this. So in this video, I want to first actually focus on just what makes this device unique. I've been playing around with it for a few weeks now, trying to get a good sense of exactly what this is capable of and who it's for. So first, let's get a few quick things out of the way that I'm sure you're wondering about. There are 4 HDMI inputs, and you can also add 2 USB webcams for a total of 6 live video sources. You can also load in video clips to play back titles or graphics during your streams. There are a bunch of built-in preset picture-in-picture layouts, which can even support scaling and cropping up to 4 video sources, and on top of a background. Plus, you can go into the software and customize the layout however you want. You can crop sources, you can scale them up, you can add more layers, you can rearrange it however you want. Almost every feature of the RØDECaster video is accessible from the physical control buttons. That includes camera switching, turning on and off graphics, and even configuring your audio. And you can use Rode Central on your computer to get even more features. And not only can you stream directly from this without a computer, you can also record to a USB drive. And yes, it does ISO recording. It records all of the original camera angles and individual audio channels as separate files on the drive. So that's it for the basics. Now on to the extra unique features. So as you can see here, I've got 4 different camera angles plugged in, but this switcher also supports scenes. These are the 2 different layouts on top that are marked by letters. To configure scenes, there actually are a whole bunch of built-in layouts. There's picture-in-picture layouts, there's side-by-side, there's 4 up, there's these sort of next to each other ones. There's even multiple different options of scaling different combinations of 3 and 4 sources. These are all the presets, which are just really easy to use, but you can also go into the software and customize them entirely. Let's say, for example, I want to have a top-down camera next to my face. Now, this is the default side-by-side where it scales both down, but I want my face to be larger. So I can go change this into a custom layout, and now I can go edit camera 1. I can crop that in on the side there and there. I can then scale this up to make it larger. Scoot it over here, and I can go into camera 2 and make this one take up a little bit more space as well. You can see that they're layering, so if I wanted that on top, I could do like that instead. And once I get this about where I want, I can also then even add a background image. So I've got an extra layer here down for the background, and I can go ahead and choose one of the images that I've already loaded into the RØDECaster. And now I've got my nice side-by-side where you can see my face larger and the top-down camera is even bigger. Speaking of background graphics, all of your different layout options can include backgrounds, which you can load into the RØDECaster. If I go back into the RØDECaster, you can just drag files in. They can be video clips, they can be still images, they can even be sounds, and then you can load them into the graphics library and then use these as backgrounds in your layouts. So here, for example, I have the artwork for the House Files podcast, and if I go back into the scene here, I could actually change the background here to use any of the images that I've loaded in. You can save up to 7 different scenes in the RØDECaster, and they get assigned to these letter buttons along the top. I was just editing scene B, but if I wanted to make a small change to it, I could actually just hold down on the letter C, and it's going to save this into slot C. Now I could, for example, change which camera is in that larger box. So now that I'm editing scene C, I could actually change camera 2. Let's say I wanted that one to actually be camera 3 instead. And now it's the wide shot of my desk. And now looking back at the multi-view, I can see scene B is the one with the top-down camera. Scene C is now the one with that side angle. And I can just keep going until I fill up the letters A through G here. The next thing I want to talk about is the audio features. This actually has a full audio mixer built in. Along the back, there's 2 combo jacks, XLR and 1/4 inch. So that's already a huge improvement over most other video switchers. But it doesn't stop there. You can actually pair wireless mics. That could be the Rode Interview Pro or even the Rode Wireless Go. You can pair 2 of these Rode microphones directly to the RØDECaster video, and that way you can skip having to use any other receiver. If you need even more audio sources, you can also connect a RØDECaster Duo or RØDECaster Pro over USB and bring in your audio that way. That way you can do 2 or 4 microphones on this, and then bring in the mixed audio into the video switcher. The USB audio can also bring in audio from your computer, in which case it actually acts as a bidirectional audio interface. And there's even a Bluetooth receiver, so you can pair your phone to it and do remote interviews over the phone. There's also 2 headphone jacks and 2 1/4-inch analog audio outputs for powering something like speakers in a room. There's a lot of inputs and outputs in here, and each of the outputs can actually have its own audio mix. This is super powerful. Once you have your live mix for the stream, you can go and actually change the audio mixes for each of the outputs. So let's say you didn't want to hear your own audio on the headphones. Some people don't like hearing themselves when they're recording. You just go to the headphone mix for headphone 1 and turn off combo 1 if that's where your microphone's connected to. And your microphone will still be part of the main stream, just not audible in your headphones. Let's say you also had speakers in the room and you want to use the speakers so that people could hear the audio from video clips that are playing. Or maybe the speaker is for Bluetooth audio for your remote guests you've called on the phone. Well, you probably don't want your own microphones going back out the speakers in the room, so you can change it to a custom mix and then turn off the microphones. But you've still got all the other audio effects that are in the stream as well. Same is true with your record, your Bluetooth, and your USB audio interfaces as well. The Bluetooth and USB interfaces also automatically support mix minus. So again, if you're calling somebody on the phone and you have your phone paired to this, you want to capture their audio in the stream, but you don't want to send their microphone back out the telephone. So in the Bluetooth option, it actually defaults to mix minus. And that way it's the full live mix of the show, except for what they're sending into you. And the same goes for USB. It's automatically set to mix minus, and you can change it if you want. If you know that you need to actually send the live mix back out USB or make a custom mix, you can do that. And the last super unique feature is the auto switching feature for video podcasts. So here we have a pretty typical live podcast setup, a wide shot of 2 people and then a close-up shot of each of them. And then also I've got in here a 4th angle, which is actually a computer screen shared into the switcher. So I could sit here and be switching the different inputs manually and run the show that way. But wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to have it automatically switch based on who's talking? Well, this is where the auto switching feature comes in. You go in here and you choose which audio channels you want to map to different angles. And once that's turned on, the device does all the switching for you. I no longer have my hands on the buttons, but now it's actually going to be switching based on who's talking. If I start talking, it'll cut to a close-up shot of me. If Lily starts talking, it'll cut back to the wide shot or go to a close-up of her. And honestly, it just works pretty well. There's not a lot of configuration you have to do to get a pretty good result. This is fantastic for people who want to run video podcasts and don't want to also be messing with the controls the whole time. Once you've done your audio mapping, you just let it run and it's going to do its thing. So that's the quick overview of what is super unique about the RØDECaster video. Check out the links below to my other videos that go more in depth about using the RØDECaster video in particular setups. And join me during one of my weekly live streams on Sundays and I will answer your questions live. And of course, thanks again to Rode for sending this over for me to share with you on the channel. And as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.